I'm here with Alex Sarr, potential number one pick in the 2024 NBA draft. We're in Santa Barbara, California. You're training out here at P3, preparing for the NBA draft. Alex, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Long time.
We first chatted back in August when you were in Nevada for the G League Ignite versus Perth Wildcats game. Had a good conversation then. How has your game evolved since then? How have you changed?
I think I became more physical, as time went on. Better reads as far as being more poised and slowing the game down a little bit. So I think I changed a lot from that game.
Is that something that came from experience or coaching? Like, how's that happened?
I think both, like watching film, in-game situation, and then trying to replicate it in practice, and also just making the mistake in game and working through it. I think that's what helps.
Now, for you, like, what was it like living overseas? You're from France, then you came to OTE in Atlanta, and now then you're in Australia. What was that process like of kind of moving around the world?
Yeah, I mean, I first started when I was 14, went to Spain. So I learned to, I'll say, adapt in a new environment pretty well. And when I went to Australia, my parents were living with me. So that made things easier for me, just always having my family like close to me. It was great.
I recently spoke with Wilkins, who's head of basketball with Overtime Elite. And he told me the first time he met you, he's like, you can be the number one pick. What do you remember from that conversation? How old were you at the time? Like, what do you recall?
Yeah, I mean, I was 16. I think he was, one of the first person I would see to tell me that. It's not that I didn't really believe it back in the day, but like, I saw it as something that was far away. But yeah, I mean, I do remember that conversation, and I'm grateful for the feedback he gave me.
How'd you improve in OTE?
I think I started OTE, I was 16, like really skinny, still growing into my body. And I left as being like, 7'1", I was bigger. I was a better all around player. I worked on a lot of skills every day, did a lot of weight training. So I think I really improved a lot in my 2 years.
Now, you said you're 7'1". That's what you're listed. That's what you measured out here at P3. What about your wingspan? Do you know what that is?
I think it's at 7'5".
Okay, I see. Now, I think with OTE, the way your game's grown since then, with you, one of the things Wilkins said to me is like, you came in like a shooter, like you wanted to shoot all the time. And they kind of made you more of like an interior guy, like, hey, like you are, you got size and you can finish, you can drive and attack the rim. How have you seen kind of your offensive game evolve over the years? Like, how would you describe it in your own words?
Yeah, I mean, I think my first year at OTE, I was trying to stay in my comfort zone and just catch and shoot, not try to do too much. But as time went on, I learned how to play from pick and roll, the short roll, making the good read, being able to space the floor, push the ball in transition, just trying to hit every part of the game, really.
Now, here with P3, I saw some statistics that you've attested when you were 16 compared to now. Did you see those numbers of kind of your physical growth?
Yeah.
How would you describe that change?
I think he was a big change. I think he was my vertical got better. My lateral force got better too. I mean, I like to see it. I'm training the right direction, and I want to see what it's going to look like in 2 years from now.
So you think with your game, like, where is it going to be, 2 years from now? You think you're going to be gaining muscle? Do you want to gain muscle? Like how do you see kind of your body changing over the years?
I mean, of course, I can always get stronger, but I think as of right now, I'm pretty confident in my strength, and I know that I can impact the game just by the way I'm built right now.
What's your current weight?
It's like 220 right now.
Okay.
But yeah, of course, like in 2 years, I expect myself to be bigger, and I can always add strength.
Now, with your role for Perth, you played limited minutes sometimes. What was that adjustment like for you? Going from playing heavier role with OT to playing, a lesser role for Perth.
Yeah, I mean, it was my first really pro year in a professional league. And I had like good teammates, good coaches, a good coaching staff around me that was really explaining to me like what happened in the game and how can I get more minutes, how can I play more. And, of course, you got to adapt to that. It's a couple games where you might get frustrated, but for me, I was just trying to think about the next game and see like how I could impact the team like in a winning way.
What was your best game this past season?
My best game, It was probably against, I had a few, probably either against Sydney Kings or Southeast Melbourne.
What do you remember from that Sydney Kings game?
Sydney Kings, I think I was pretty good defensively and offensively. Made a couple shots, made threes. I had a couple steals for a transition bucket.
What was your best one? The one that stands out the most to you? Your best steal, best defensive play?
Best defensive play? It was probably, might have been either my first game. It was like the first play. It was a block against Tasmania Jack Jumpers. I was kind of in between Marquis Lee and Milton Doyle, and just had great timing. I don't know if it was luck or great timing, but got up there and blocked the shot on the dunk. So that was probably my best defensive player.
Do you envision yourself becoming an all defensive player someday?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that the goal?
Yeah. I mean, defense is something I take pride on, and I want to be the best defensive player I can be.
Have you always? Is that something you've had since you were 10 years old, 11 years old? Have you always liked playing defense?
Not really. I think it came probably my second year OT when I kind of realized that I could have an impact defensively. Before I was more like kind of trying to block shots, but I didn't know really how to guard or if I could guard really. But I think my second year OT is when I realized with my wingspan, my length, and the way I can move on the court, I can be really impactful on that side of the court.
Now, I asked you what your best game was. What was your worst game this past season?
My worst game is probably, against the Breakers. I had 0 points. That was, worst game.
Well, 0 points, you can still make a positive impact.
Yeah, facts.
Do you feel like you still did in that game, but it was still your worst because you had 0?
I still had an impact in the game. I'm always going to do good defensively. I had good defensive plays. I was disruptive, but just shots really weren't falling. And yeah.
Now, with your game, your jumper has improved year by year. If you look at your numbers in OTE, and then you look at, second year with OTE, and then this year with Perth, each year it's incrementally moved up, both your free throw percentage and your 3-point percentage. How important is it for your game to become a guy who's not just hovering around 30%, but is a guy that's closer to 40%? Is that a critical skill development for you? Or do you view it as additive for what you can become in the NBA?
No, I don't see that skill as additive to what I can become. It's something I do a lot of reps on right now, this morning, past week, the week before that, because that's something I want to be able to do from day one, because I think it can make me a threat, from everywhere on the court. And I think I can be there just next year.
Well, how would it change your game? If let's say tomorrow you wake up and you're a 40% guy from 3, or even a 37% guy from 3, how does, Alex Sarr's game change?
I don't think it would change much. I think people will just close out harder, which will open up more space to me to make the right read or attack closeouts. But
sounds like a big change to me.
It is a big change, yeah. But I just envision it in my mind, so I don't really see it as that big of a change. I feel like I still got respected as a shooter in the NBL. It wasn't really, players weren't sagging off that much. Maybe they weren't trying to block every shot I took from 3, but it will definitely make the game easier.
What do you mean when you say you kind of envision it in your mind? You mean long term, you know it will come, or do you mean even with your current skill set?
With my current skill set, I see myself just being able to be in that 40% range. From 3.
Who's the best NBA comparison, current, former players, for yourself?
I'll say that's a good question. I don't really have a single player that I can tell you. I have a few players that I like to watch, but I don't really see myself as just one player that's playing right now.
Who are some of those guys?
Yeah. I used to watch a lot of Anthony Davis, Giannis. I used to watch Jaren Jackson, Evan Mobley. I think, kind of these guys.
You saw Mobley just had a big game-saving block against Wagner in the Cavs Magic series, 80. Granted, the Lakers' loss was dominant, all season long for the Lakers, and then in the postseason he was as well. What stood out to you watching these playoffs right now?
I think I mean, talking about these guys, it just shows how important, that mold is in the NBA right now, and it just shows how impactful I can be on the court and how impactful these guys are right now.
And I think like so many different teams are playing switch heavy defenses. And like I think back to your Ignite, versus Perth game where you're on Ron Holland on the perimeter and you're just like locking him up. like there he has no airspace to move the way you're moving laterally against him on the perimeter. With your skill set, do you kind of see yourself as one of those players who can play in any single type of scheme, like whatever the defense is demanding, that you can thrive in it?
I mean, yeah, I think today I'm comfortable whether I'm in drops, whether I got a hedge, whether we're switching one through five. I think I'm comfortable with most of the pick and roll coverage, and I like to switch a lot out on the perimeter, because he allows me to play more in space. So, yes.
Is there, like, you talk about these different schemes, is there one scheme in particular you feel like that you've improved at over this past year or two in particular?
For sure. I think I improved a lot in my drops. Before I was committing too early to the ball, or still earlier in the season in the NBA, I was making those mistakes of like not playing too really well, not really like stunting at the ball and recovering. I think that's something I improved on.
Was that, something coaches directly worked with you on?
Yeah. That's something all the coaches, Gerard, Martin, Keegan worked with, even John, our head coach. We worked on that a lot, just during our practice, before practice, watching film on it, then running through just 2v2s just so I can get used to it.
So with when it comes to feedback like that you get from coaches, are there any other examples you might have where someone kind of taught you something and that you then worked on it, whether it's a specific skill or, something within a team scheme? Anything come to mind from this past year besides something, the drop coverage?
Yeah. Also, I think watching film on my short rolls, because before, I feel like I used to be more one-dimensional when I used to catch the ball in the short roll. So really watching film and seeing like who was open when I did that play, and really like going through it in practice, just in that situation, just like working on it. Like if the coach comes, you hit here. I think that made me like a better short roll player.
I mean, that's the type of thing, like regardless of where you end up getting drafted, like you just look at the top teams, whether it's Pistons with Cade Cunningham, or the Hornets with, LaMelo, or Portland with Scoot, I think like Memphis with Ja Morant, wherever it might be, Utah with Keontae George, like a lot of guards, like that short roll action for you could potentially be, like a major weapon, because you can go off the dribble, you can kick out, you can pass, you could also pick and pop if your three-pointer continues improving. Like I think that two-man game is going to be something for you, is like integral to your success in the NBA.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I can have like a lot of growth still in that aspect of the game, but I think it's a really important part.
I mean, the interesting thing with your game is because you can also handle, you're somebody who could run some inverted pick and rolls as well, with like a smaller guard screening for you. Like we see that like different type of player, but with like Murray, Jokic, two-man game stuff, like a bunch of different players, it's a bigger player with a handling and a smaller player screening.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of experience, or, maybe you haven't been in a team situation where that's been asked of you yet, but do you kind of see that as a path for you down the line?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I haven't been used that way, really in a team situation, like you said, but, that's something we work on right now, just being able to be comfortable in any situation, whether you get a little guard setting a ball screen for you. I mean, it doesn't have to be from far out, it could be right above the key, and just getting used to using your body and finishing at the rim. I think it's a really important skill.
I mean, like what you're describing kind of right above the key, it makes me think about like the big pick and roll. Like, Clippers used to do that with Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan.
The Cavs too.
The Cavs do it, like the Bucks with Giannis and Brook Lopez. Like that's kind of like exactly what you're describing. Like, I think that's where your versatility, like talking to people that work for teams and just that, just watching you play, is like Sarr's plug and play ability into different types of roles and situations. Is there a type of system or like that you kind of think is ideal for you, like, style wise?
I mean, not really. I think I could play in different systems really. I don't say there's one that I would write another one. I think I just gotta see, what fits better. But as of right now, I think I could play in a lot of different systems.
Now, in a locker room setting, with your teammates, how would you describe your personality?
I think I'm really supportive. When we're in the locker room, whether it's before the game, during halftime, or anything, I always try to give feedbacks if something happened during the game, and you might get pissed at your teammate. I always try to talk it out and be positive about it, so everybody's in the right mindset.
What's your biggest motivator?
My biggest motivator? You mean as far as person?
Yeah, life, basketball, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's my brother for sure. Especially with what he's going through right now. He just gives me extra motivation to just push through and go hard.
So it's like your brother motivates you, kind of set that example, like being your older brother.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he motivates me just even from before I was even a prospect, I'll say, just because he was already where I wanted to go. He did all that coming up from the G League to having a two-way and having some minutes in the NBA. So I was always watching closely.
What's been the most memorable moment of your career so far?
Our playoff run was pretty fun with the Perth Wildcats, even though it didn't end like we all wanted. But I think that was really interesting as far as playing away games, really, I'll say, and playing under pressure. That was interesting. And also FIBA under 19, the final, that was a great experience.
You mentioned FIBA. French national team will be playing in the Olympics later this year. Victor Wanyama, Rudy Gobert. I mean, the French prospects right now, yourself included, is loaded.
Yeah.
I think as you grow, you'll be on that team someday. Will you be watching? Are you going to go out to watch those games? What's the plan for you? Are you excited about it?
I mean, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see France. I'm excited to see Team USA play. I'm excited to see the whole world play, really. I can't wait to watch this tournament. But I don't know if I'll come down there, but I'll definitely watch the games.
Do you have a relationship with any of the guys on that team, the French national team?
I mean, not really. I know Victor from a camp we did a couple years back. But then that's pretty much it.
I interviewed Victor Wembanyama last month, and he said there are prospects reaching out to him hey, man, it'd be cool to play with you. Have you had any conversations with Victor pre-draft?
No, I haven't reached out to him. We probably would talk when I see him wherever.
I mean, you guys together on defense, oh my God. How could anybody score around the rim?
Yeah. No, that would be interesting. Yeah.
It would be crazy with you two potentially together. I'm interested in, and you talked about kind of your most memorable moment as a player, but when you were younger, first picking up a basketball, when do you remember first feeling okay, I can be a professional doing this? What was the moment it kind of sparked for you?
I think probably when I got the offer from Real Madrid is when, in my mind, it was always a goal of mine to play in the NBA, or a dream probably. But when really it got real, I went to Real Madrid to visit, tryouts, and then they said, yeah, you can be part of it. And I was over there, not living at home anymore. That's when it really probably hit me that if I really want it, it's real, it's a goal, and I got to work for it.
Now, throughout your journey, like you said, you were in Spain at a young age, and then you're in Australia, and you're in Atlanta, and you're just around the world. Throughout this process, there's technology has been able to connect the basketball. You're able to watch YouTube and watch video and all that. Has technology ever been helpful for you when it comes to learning things about the game over the years?
I mean, for sure. You can watch a lot of games, on the NBA app. That's what I use. That's what I watch games on. I used it when I was at OTE. I wasn't watching that much game except the playoffs in Madrid because of the time difference and everything. But yeah, with technology now, you can watch almost every regular season game, every game, and I think that's how you really learn and get your basketball mind better.
So you have learned things over the years from watching?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, what about right now? Is there, if you look at current or former NBA players, is there a specific move that you wish you could download into your own game?
A move?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just, I'll say the way Giannis pushes the ball in transition, that's a specific move that I think he's really impressive. And yeah.
Is that something you're working on?
Yeah, for sure.
So like transition attacks?
Yeah. We work on that a lot, as far as using your body, bumping, being able to relocate and finish at the rim.
Because he's not just power on the break. He's also like finesse. He'll use, side steps, Euro steps, and he's got these finesse finishes on, like, in addition to just the power as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. It is impressive, just going that fast to being able to like control your body and still finish strong.
So I think the favorite second round series that I'm looking forward to right now is Denver, Minnesota.
Yeah.
We're recording before that series begins.
Yeah.
Maybe the two best teams remaining in the entire thing going right now. Unless you want to say Boston and the East, I don't think so. I think Denver, Minnesota right now.
Yep.
What are your expectations for that series with some two juggernauts on both sides?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be exciting. It's kind of a shame that it happens in the second round, I'll say. But, I mean, I definitely see it going to at least 6 or 7 games. But yeah, whoever wins that matchup is pretty much in a really good spot.
One of the cool things about that series is Tim Conley, the GM of the Minnesota Timberwolves. He was formerly the guy who ran the Nuggets.
Okay.
So he built both teams.
Okay.
He built the Nuggets. And he helped like build the Minnesota from a good team to a great team. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Now you're not even entering the NBA at this point, but you will be later this year. Do you like doing coaching? Do you like teaching at all? Is that something down the line 15, 20 years from now?
I mean, maybe
30 years from now.
Maybe I can't really answer for
it hasn't even begun.
Older me, but I definitely, I will always, I'll say be around the game, whether it's coaching or just teaching or just being around the game, for sure.
What do you love most about the game of basketball?
I think what I love most is that you always can improve, a lot of skills, and, it's just endless, the amount of work you can put in and the amount of improvements you can make. So it just never stops.
Alex, appreciate you taking the time to chat today, man. Good luck this entire process.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Enjoy California as well.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you, man.